Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my weekly deck reviews. I have so much stuff to talk about, but I'm gonna try to keep this snappy. I'll try. I always say that. I don't know why I do that. You guys know I'm not quick, right? Like, we all know this. We accept this about Lisa. Okay. So this week I have been working with the Wild Messengers Alchemical Tarot. So I've got this, look at this like cool duochrome Peggy bag. This is one of the first bags she ever made me. So it's currently housing this deck. Cause look at the holographicness. I don't know if it'll catch in the light. Oh, there we go. The letters are all holographic. There we go. Look at that. Look at the rainbow shift. Oh my God. Okay, anyway. Beautiful packaging. No thumb holes on the side of the box, the sturdy box, but it slides really nicely because it's a really glossy box, so no problem there. I have to say, there's something about this cardstock that I don't love. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. For starters, when it came, the plastic that had been wrapped around, like it had one of those plastic bands wrapped all the way around the deck, had squeezed it in such a way that there's still a bow in some of the cards. I don't know if you can see the gaps. But there's something about the cardstock, I can't quite place it, that I'm not fond of. It feels like it's probably like a 330, so it's got a lot of flex to it, and they're matte. And then the backs have this gorgeous embossed, like textured snake skin to them, which is lovely. But the fronts feel almost a little bit scratchy, like they're not coated maybe. I don't know, I'm sure they've got a coating on them of some kind, but there's something about that it doesn't feel quite right. And when they shuffle, they have, oh, I just threw half the deck on the ground. I'll get that shortly. Anyways, when I shuffle them, they just feel, I don't know what it is, maybe more papery than other decks, even though the cardstock is thick enough. So that's like a little bit of a bummer, but the artwork on this deck is stunning, and I'll be honest, I actually bought this deck because I loved the book so much, which I'll be talking about in a second. But the way that each card and each animal represents the message of the tarot and goes really deep into self-worth and your personal spiritual journey is absolutely incredible and very unique. I don't have any, the closest deck actually I would say in my collection that does so much towards personal growth and personal work is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and this one blows it out of the water. If you love the Dreams of Gaia guidebook and the way that it is healing and nurturing and full of messages about your personal growth and your spiritual evolution, you will adore this deck for the way that it approaches the tarot. I'm just gonna grab the cards that I dropped because I can't deal just seeing them on the ground. So anyway, but I got really powerful messages. I will say that from just the cards perspective, this is not a deck I would typically purchase because when it comes to having just an animal in each card, I really want a keyword. That said, the majors are really incredible. Like, look at the Hanged Man. It's the bat, but it says shift, right? So they've changed the names of the majors, and they've also changed the names of the courts. Look at this sloth. I love this artwork, like, from a just looking at it perspective. I absolutely love all these like galaxy themes, and it definitely sets the tone for this to be a very, look what I did, you guys. For this to be a very spiritual based deck. Oh, I did it with a bunch of them. Hold on. Hold on, Lisa's being a little bit anal here for a second. There we go. Okay. Okay, but here's an example. The cards really stick with you. This is one of the really incredible things about this deck. So this is the Narwhal. This was one of the cards that I drew this week in one of my readings. I think it was a daily reading, or it might have been a 3-card during my Instagram challenge. But this card specifically is the Narwhal, and it's the 4 of Cups. And the message in this card is very much about how the Narwhal it lives below the water, but it has to come up for air. And the horn helps it break through bits of ice that form on the surface of the water in its environment. Now, every time it rises, it risks being captured by prey and eaten or hunted for its horn, etc. But it still has to come up and get air anyway, or it will die. And the whole message of this card was about breaking through your fear and living your life despite the risk. And for the Four of Cups, it was such a beautiful message. It was so powerful, and it really stuck with me for the entire day. And every single card that I pulled was like that. Every single message that I read in the guidebook about that card just stayed with me. The deck is full of information. Okay, the spider. I drew this card this week. Not a fan of spiders, not gonna lie. But in the guidebook, it talks about how a spider weaves like 7 or 8 different types of its web, whether it's a structural piece of web, whether it's a prey catching piece of web. So they weave it intentionally in order to, and this is the King of Air, they weave it intentionally depending on what they want to get. So you get all of that strategy and knowledge of the King of Swords, but you also get information about releasing the past. One of the things it talks about is how the spider digests its former webs and like reintegrates it into new webbing that it can then spin out again. So it was about releasing the past and sort of transforming it. Beautiful. And to be fair, I had read the full guidebook. Not every single entry, but I had read all the introduction stuff, and I had read the section that they have on alchemy. But check out the guidebook. The guidebook made me buy the deck, which is such a weird thing to happen, but when I went to a Tarot and Tea event with Ethany here in Vancouver and some other local friends, she had an extra copy of this book and ended up gifting it to me, and I just started just devouring it. Every day I would pull, I mentioned this last week, but every day, whatever deck I was using, whatever card of the day I had, I would come home that day and I would look it up in this book and read what it had to say, and I'm probably going to continue to do that because I just love every single bit of information in the guidebook. First of all, the guidebook's beautiful, but there is a ton of information. Okay, so this is Panther, which is the moon. Okay, so the page starts here. You get a full, beautiful illustration. You have the page on the moon here, and here, and here, and here, and it ends here. Like, are you kidding? It's so generous with the amount of information, and every single card has an invocation. It has your message, of course. It talks about, through the majors, what phase of alchemy, I'll talk about that in a second, that this major card is associated with. And then it also has a little blurb that tells you more about the animal, like, and how that animal relates to the card. And there's a section like where it says Panther speaks. So for every animal, it's got kind of a message for you, and it's written in the first person, like as if Panther is talking to you. Some beautiful animal medicine throughout this entire deck, and it just feels really wonderful and spiritual, and I could just go on and on and on, but I really enjoyed working with this guidebook so much. So there is a section in here it is, in the back of the book, called The Alchemy of Awakening. And so this runs from page 297 all the way through I just want to give you an idea of how long it is. 318, yeah, through page 318, and it describes the alchemical process. So you get to learn a little bit about alchemy, and alchemy is a theme throughout this book, and it shows up most presently in the majors, but it does also relate to the minors, and that's all explained in the guidebook. But if nothing else, buy the guidebook. If you are interested in animal medicine, this is just an incredible resource and a tool that I think I'm going to continue to use regardless of when I am or am not working with the actual deck. Using them together was really wonderful and fun, and a great way to pull a page from the book, but this was the highlight for me for sure. And I had such a great experience. It really helped me move through some stuff this week that I was working through. No complaints whatsoever. And to be honest, like, the guidebook I just can't, I'm stumbling over my words, but I really enjoyed it. Could not recommend enough if you're into all the psycho-spiritual stuff, if you're into personal growth, if you're into spiritual evolution, which you probably are if you're watching my videos, because you're probably into tarot and, but check it out. At least take a look at some reviews about the guidebook and the deck from other people and get their perspective as well, but whew, so good. I just talked for 10 minutes about one deck, and I wanted to keep this short. Why do I ever say that I'm going to try to keep this short? I'm such a goof. Okay, the Oracle deck that I worked with beside the Alchemical Tarot is the Animal Kin, and I adore this Oracle deck. It is my favorite animal Oracle deck just for its ease of use, simplicity, and number of cards, etc. It looked beautiful actually next to the Alchemical Tarot, even though they're both animal decks, which is why I wanted to use it. This artwork almost seemed to pull out coordinating colors in the Alchemical Tarot, which is very galaxy swirly. So if I had a card that had a lot of blue, it would just sort of coordinate with the blue. So it was really kind of cool to see them side by side. You might be able to see, I'm trying to think if I have any Oracle decks in any of my Instagram posts. If I have any of this featured in my Instagram, I'm not sure. But check out my Instagram, you might see some pictures of this beside the Alchemical Tarot. But it just, this is a really wonderful, high quality deck. The cardstock is so lovely. It's like thick and matte. It's probably 350 GSM, so it's nice. Like it's really sturdy. Super smooth, a coating on it, so it feels really nice. Love the artwork, love the way that the animals are depicted, and just love that there's these simple keywords. So every single card has one basic but expansive keyword. So parrotfish is authenticity, seahorse is love, kookaburra is amusement, etc. Wolf for connection. This was one of my draws this week. I just love, look at this frog, I can't. Anyway, I love this deck. No complaints. The guidebook is fantastic. The creator of this deck is Sarah Wilder. This was originally a Kickstarter and then it got picked up by Hay House, and I'm pretty sure you can still buy it from Hay House. Lovely two-piece box. Really, really good. Super recommend, especially if you don't have an animal deck yet and you want to try one as an oracle. This is such a great one, and there's like 65 cards in it. So it's beefy and good, and I adore it. So really enjoyed working with those this week. I have no complaints, and they played really nicely together. I used a really fun reading cloth from my collection, this beautiful dragonfly with the gold accent on it, and then on the back it's a purple with gold accent. It's got a little bit of sheen and metallic. Those decks looked gorgeous on both sides, but I have to say the purple and gold was probably my favorite because it highlighted all those really pretty galaxy colors in the alchemical deck, the Wild Messengers deck. So really had fun with that. Let's talk about what I'm working with next week. So the tarot deck that I'm working with is totally a Sarah made me do it, because Sarah over at Sunset Bow Tarot, oh wait, this might actually be, I think I might have misspoke. It might be Tracy at Temperance Tarot who turned me, I think it was Tracy at Temperance Tarot. Sorry guys, Tracy made me do it. The Ellis deck. Funny enough, actually, when I pulled the trigger on this, I was talking to Dustin at Modern Metaphysic Man about this, and he's like, girl, I showed you this deck like a couple months ago, and you were like, it's not my aesthetic. Which is probably true. But there's something about it that just totally grabbed me. So, okay, it's in a two-piece box. You don't get a little white book, but you do get this super cute little pamphlet that's actually really good, and it has numerology, and then it associates it with it's literally a chart. So you have the numerology, so the ace 2 through the king, you know, ace through 10, and then page through king on the one side. You have the element across the top, and you have little keywords for the element and for the number. And then when you bring your finger in to where, say, the 3 of, which is foundation creation, meets the pentacles, which is material world, you get collaborative effort. So you can kind of see how it's actually, even though it's so little, you can actually see how the element and the number play together, which is super interesting for people who have been exploring numerology or exploring pip decks or Marseille. It can be kind of a fun little reference to peek through. Anyway, this is not my review yet because I have only just started working at this deck this morning at the time of filming this, but I freaking love the artwork. First of all, there's the backs. It is gilded in the horrible gold sparkly gilding, but the sparkles are starting to wear off and it's starting to be less obnoxious. But it's holding up really well. So even though it's glittery, it's holding up. I've already shuffled this deck because I've worked with it a bit already. To me, this reads very fall. It's got kind of some deeper tones in it. So it was just perfect to kick off my first week that's leading into October. I freaking love this 9 of Cups. This looks like a genie with the 9 cups. It makes me so happy. So perfect. The artwork gives you tons to work with without feeling overly cluttered, and it's that kind of clean, flat, vectorized graphic that I really enjoy. It's just one of the art styles I really appreciate. It's very easy to see the meanings in all of the cards if you are a Rider-Waite-Smith person. Really simple. So I'm really looking forward to playing with this more throughout the week and having some more cohesive thoughts for you next week. But so far, loving this. Thank you so much to Tracy at Temperance Tarot for turning me onto this deck. And if I manage to flub that up, I'm very sorry, but I think I got it. I think I got it right. I think it was Tracy. But I matched it with this really pretty fall bag that Peggy made. So I think that's going to be a really fun match. So that's what I'm working with for the tarot this week. For Oracle deck, because of the graphic style of the Ellis, I picked my Amethyst Oracle to play with. So this is a deck by Jessica Bott, the creator of the Idiosyncra deck and also the creator of the Botanical deck, which I have in my collection but haven't worked with yet. Oh, that's the title card. That's not helpful. But what I really appreciate about this is that graphically I know it will look and play nicely next to the Ellis deck, just from the style of illustration. I really enjoy this Oracle already. I've worked with it before. I really like it. It's expansive, and even though the graphics are incredibly simple, there's tons to work with intuitively. And the cards just really portray the meaning beautifully, like water. There's tons of stuff to look at there. And it's pretty balanced. There's not a huge pile of cards in here. I don't know exactly how many, but it's like it's a smallish deck. Probably about the same size as the Oracle of Echoes, but it's another very balanced, wonderful independent. I think you can still purchase this from her Etsy shop, Jessica Bott's Etsy shop, but I'm not 1000% sure. So if you're interested, check it out. I do know that she has a tendency to not do a whole lot of reprinting of things. So as all of us who have been keeping our eyes out for the Idiosyncra deck are aware. But I will say that this really kind of scratches my itch for the Idiosyncra deck, the Ellis deck, because I feel like the art style is what I was kind of intrigued by. But I feel like there's actually even more to work with in these cards, so I might have something to say about that in an upcoming Auntie haul. In the meantime, though, I am really excited to be playing with both of these this week, and I picked an old favorite reading cloth, just something with a little bit more sepia kind of tones for bringing in the fall. This cloth that Peggy made me has a velour backing, so it's got that black velvet. And look at this. This is something I love about what Peggy does. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Yeah, there it is. That decorative stitching is just everything. Everything. Which, speaking of, if you are watching this and you missed it in our live announcement, Peggy is going to be launching a sale for 20% off everything in her shop, and it is kicking off on October 1st. She's running the sale through the entire month of October, so she has been sewing her little heart out and is going to continue to be sewing her little heart out. So don't miss it. If you've been curious about trying one of her bags or cloths, that is the time. And there's some fun Halloween and fall themed designs going up. You guys are gonna love it. So I just had to mention that too. Because wifey, and I'm really excited that she's running her sale, because she doesn't really do sales very often. And fall is like witchy main holiday time. So she's taking full advantage with a big sale. So anyways, that is it for my weekly deck reviews. I would love to hear what you have been working with over the past week, or what you're going to be working with in the upcoming week, or both, if you feel like sharing that down in the comments below. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys all again very soon.